Let me hear a little bit what you have planned for yourself.
So definitely sticking with my eating habits, especially the timing of eating, because that was my biggest struggle, like I mentioned before. So just, staying, I don't want to say full, but just staying satisfied with my hunger throughout the day. Enormous difference. Enormous. Also, not having that crap around the house. Um, when you don't see it, you don't want it.
Yeah.
And
Out of sight, out of mind.
yes, that's the one. That's the idiom I was looking for. But yes, so that's something that we've been doing, and it helps a lot with kids' nutrition too, because let's be honest, my son goes to daycare and they don't necessarily look at it the way I do. So I want to make sure that he has the foundation, both of them. So
Good.
exposing them to different foods and working around, and having them eat what we eat is a big one. That helps with connection even and them exploring, healthier options. Amazing. Um,
I also will state that it also helps end any cycle of unhealthy eating that they may have learned.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and also, you're learning so much about your own eating disorder and how to combat that. You know now what not to do with your children, and
Yeah.
that pressure, that unneeded pressure about certain norms of how they should look. As long
Yeah.
as you're feeding them healthy, that's the most important part.
Yeah. And I think I forgot to mention one of the most important aspects that came out of this program was me setting up my own goals for my own future. I think I think we overlook that aspect a lot. I'm a natural researcher. I like to know things, but working with you, it kind of even my horizons were open to so many things like cold showers or cold baths and even that one little thing, but even like food wise, and I want to explore and not explore in a way of trying different things because I have my own thing, but just kind of moving forward with my life also in terms of success and just having a brighter and future with goals and achieving them. I think that's one aspect that we often forget that come out of it because it's the mindset, the strength that you gain. Your mind is strong, and
I agree.
that's the one. You're not stopping. You're never stopping. You're always in the motion because the moment you stop, you're kind of taking a couple steps back. So it's not just you sitting and doing nothing. You're taking steps back. So that's one thing. I don't want to stop now. I just want to go. So I think when we talk in terms of my future, there's so many things that happened. And I have so many projects on my mind right now that I've been procrastinating doing. And now it's like, nah, I need this time. I'm doing it. Which I feel like it's like a big cycle because the moment you lack energy, you don't want to do it. You lack motivation. You're now it's a different story. I'm motivated. I work out. I have so much energy and my mood just changes. I think that the natural cure for I don't want to say cure because that sounds really bad, but the natural remedy for like our moods throughout the day. I'm not talking serious mental disorders. I'm talking like just our blues that come and go throughout the day, which is normal. Could be hormone related, right? Could be anything really. Exercise, and it's like it's so simple. It's
Mhm.
so simple. And sometimes when I feel like I don't want to do it on my worst days, I know this will be the best workout I've ever have. And so that's one. And another thing I want to mention what my plans are forward. Um, oh, yeah, that was it. The working out part, some supplementation because I never supplemented. I was really bad with taking even my thyroid medicine. So now it's like a routine. It's like a second nature now. Movement, in general, not being afraid of trying new things,
You notice
especially.
that you're also, because you're so motivated right now and driven, is it because you have, well, A, more energy levels, but also more focus, which comes along with sleep.
Yes, I was gonna say even my speech is more coherent now. Than it was when we first talked. Like even stating my goals and the stating out points, my brain would go in different directions. It's a different thing now. It's a different story. Yeah, definitely. I'm more productive at work. I can time manage better, which was also a big one for me,
Good. Because
as
I know
anybody with.
I'm looking at my list of what you told me when you first started on your
Am
goals,
I?
and it was obviously weight loss, sleep, and
Yeah.
energy levels. So, realistically, we can see just by looking at you, you definitely hit that weight loss, for
Yeah,
sure.
I did. I did.
Sleep,
Let's not
sleep is,
forget that I also work out.
Mhm.
So I'm losing fat, I'm gaining muscle. My body is changing visually, and I'm glad I can see it because normally I would just remain stuck. And even if I saw progress, if there was progress, I wouldn't see it. Now I see the progress I've made, which I also want to thank you because even though I was working with a psychologist for a few months, I'm almost a year before we started this program, because this is gonna be a year now that I'm working with her. I want to thank you because you opened my eyes to the problem I've had. It was always somewhere in the back of my head that something's wrong with my eating issues, especially it turns out that it's a very serious problem. I'm not just having like a generalized eating disorder. It was bulimia. I mean, it is, I'm still working through it. But I want to thank you because honestly, I was overlooking it.
Hmm.
And I tried to overlook it as much as I could. And just the first few conversations we've had about it, remember my slip?
Oh yeah.
I think you saw it. And
It's hard to discuss it with somebody, so I wanted you to kind of
yeah,
say it first. But
yeah,
you was on the tip of your tongue, and once I let you just have the floor, and you opened up, and I think those are important calls too, because
yeah,
that you needed to get that out. You needed to
yeah.
say it out loud and acknowledge it so that you can finally start healing from it.
It was a big thing because then we kind of redirected that therapy
Mhm.
towards
Oh
that
yeah.
because behind every eating disorder is an emotional shitload of crap in the
Mhm.
head. So I censor that word, but
It's okay.
but it's and I feel like we kind of began working
Do
throughout
you
that
also notice that some of your mental health improved throughout this program?
enormously.
Why do you think that is? Just from all the factors that we worked
I
on?
I think so. I mean there is it's really difficult to pinpoint just one single thing.
I
I
know
think
that
it's
sleep is a
everything
big
at
factor
once.
because sleep does bring on
Mhm.
depression and anxiety. And I've actually had another client who's completely come off of his antidepressants because we've been working together.
Yeah,
And that sleep was such a big one that he was
yeah.
able to actually get off his antidepressants.
I was
So,
at a point throughout my therapy with my psychologist. I was at a point where I actually was considering jumping on the pill trend because I used to be on antidepressants, but I I think, I don't know if my relationship would survive if I didn't start working on myself and having that therapy and having you. And I didn't want my children to see it. And I think, I'm making so child mentality and children in general is my main focus when it comes to my little research and the work that I'm thinking of doing is it concerns me a lot. And and I think I that was one aspect of what I couldn't give them a happy mom. And it was it was really difficult. And I feel like we with jumping on the trend with pill, I considered also Adderall because I felt like I can't do anything. I felt so helpless. Like there is no way that I could, even like during our first conversation, I was still considering Adderall on our orientation call. That was something I considered. And I think there's no way I'm doing it now.
why?
you know, I don't know. It's just I could gain that focus from other sources. It just happened. It's not a, it's not a miracle. It's literally anybody can do it, you know?
Sleep, exercise, proper
Just
nutrition.
basic things that we all are lacking in today's world because it's really difficult to stay on top of them. It takes work. It takes work. It
But
takes
that's what
effort.
self work is. It's just all work.
Yeah, it takes work. It literally, especially in the first few weeks.
Oh yeah, that's the first month I would say is the biggest hardest
Yeah,
transition. But that's that makes me happy personally to hear that
yeah.
things are much different for you and you're feeling much more positive and less of an issue with the eating disorder. Um, any good feedback from your therapist on just how you've been pro? I guess your
Yeah, she gave me an amazing feedback. At the last few sessions, she's been giving me an extraordinary feedback. She even with the pressure that I don't have anymore on things that are not important at this point in my life because I'm working on myself.
Mhm.
Just taking care of myself was a big one. And I'm not afraid to put things off because if I do something now that I will sacrifice something else that is more important at this point in my life. And
Okay.
I don't have that pressure anymore that I have to achieve this point B now because I have to concentrate on point A. And I think she noticed that. Also my binging and purging went away.
Yeah.
I didn't have an episode. It sometimes it's difficult, but I'm able to work through it. The affirmations that you've given me, especially those at night,
Hmm.
um, I think are, a lifesaver, and just those little tricks and tips that we've been, discovering together. It's amazing. Yeah, so
Good.
a lot of good feedback, a lot of good feedback from her.
Good. Good. I'm glad that she approved of what we were doing
Yeah,
and was happy with it as well because I wanted to make sure from a psychological standpoint that you were
yeah.
being treated properly and that we were
The
following
same
the right.
page.
Yeah,
You
I'm
were
not.
on the same page. Yeah, you told me step away from the scale. I was so connected. She told me that, which I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to interfere with the program. But she told me that before.
uh,
But she didn't tell me like you can't. She just told me that it's not recommended when dealing with ED. And that's when we first talked about that
mhm.
ED, and then I discussed it with her, and then she said something about the scale. Then you told me not to do the scale because I'm too connected to it, and I was too attached to the number.
Oh yeah.
Uh
Yeah, and once I was aware that you had ED, then of course I immediately because I had
yeah.
a client previous with that, and it really wasn't comfortable. And I had speaking to his therapist about it, and we agreed that the scale was a bad idea. So I already had previous experience, and I thought right away, as soon as you told me get rid of that scale, that's going
Yeah.
to help the triggers, and it did because I think you were triggered once in the beginning of the program because we were using that
And
scale.
my progress went through the roof.
Yeah, yeah.
It
So
was
there we
doing
go.
good. It was
Don't step
doing
on a
good,
scale
but
for another year, and I think you're going to have some great success with more self growth and changes.
oh, and I scheduled that photography session. So my husband wanted to give me a gift for my birthday, and I couldn't think what I want. I mean, he wanted to do um, something extravagant.
Mhm.
And honestly, I'm not a gift person. I have everything I need, but I was considering doing like a feminine photo shoot for a long, long time for myself.
Yeah.
And so I told him, if you want to give me a gift, there's this photographer that I love her work, and some of my friends did it. And I think it's the time for me to do it. It's part
Good.
of I would call it part of the therapy. I haven't told my therapist about it yet because I haven't had a session with her yet, but it was a spur of the moment kind of thing. But it motivated me because she's known for making women feel beautiful no
Mhm.
matter. And I'm at the point where I need it. And that's kind of like my gift for myself. we're ending this program on the right note.
I
So
love it. I think that's great. And it's also going to help with the growth on your self-image as well. That
yeah,
was part of the problem with the eating disorder. This is going to
yeah.
be that transition and the healing in itself. So wonderful. I'm so happy for you. And I'm happy also for Thomas, because that's going to be a great gift for the both of you guys.
I was gonna give it to him on the anniversary, just a big canvas.
Yeah, there you go.
To
Right
his
in the
office.
office, right in the
But
office.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
great though. That's great that you actually feel confident
Yeah,
enough that,
because you know what I was doing before? Before I was always procrastinating those things and putting them off and saying I'll do it when I have the body, when I have a six pack, which we discussed about women and six packs. When I have all the muscle and all the frame that I want, the entire framework, the beauty, it never works that way. It's if you're putting this off now, you're never gonna be happy with yourself, no matter how you look. So I
and
think
women with abs, that's a bit of an unknown thing that
yeah.
most people don't
Uh,
understand
yeah,
how.
when I mentioned abs, I didn't mean like a guy's six
Yeah,
pack,
no, I
just
know, just the little
lean,
lines.
just
I
a
see what you're
little,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely
Still
possible.
working towards that goal, which is
Yeah,
another goal of mine.
great.
I've had two kids, and so that's it's gonna be hard to achieve, but I'm happy. I'm happy with
Mhm.
what I have.